Hello lovelies, I hope you're well. I've taken myself off camping for the week, so I'm up in northern New South Wales in Australia, having an amazing time, practicing, learning, enjoying. Life is very, very sweet. And I've had a kind of theme for this week's practice that was delivered to me by the wonderful Sai from a group called Wild Marmalade. If you haven't seen them, please check them out. He plays the didgeridoo and he's one of my favourite musicians, and I've been lucky enough to spend some time with Sai this week. And his advice was basically, get back to square one. And I think that is such good advice. And it's got me thinking, because I've been to some concerts and stuff this week. The single biggest mistake everyone makes, me, you, everybody, excepting possibly the top professionals, but even then I think a lot of them might agree with me. The biggest mistake we all make as musicians, and probably people as well, is thinking we have the basics and the foundations covered well enough that we never need to think about them. And then that mistake leads to a concept where you spend most of your time out there in the wilderness somewhere, the musical wilderness, exploring techniques or songs or things that are particularly exotic and unusual, which is cool, but we're neglecting the basics. For example, Lord knows how much time I've spent trying to find the craziest sounding chords or the most interesting rhythms or the most wild solo styles or the most bizarre tunings or whatever you want to think about it. And though I've spent countless thousands of hours practicing the basics, sometimes I'll have a look at my basic playing and realize how hideously awful it is sometimes. Sometimes I play one chord and the strings aren't ringing nicely enough or something like that. And there's a challenge for you. Grab your guitar and just play one chord. And here are the different ways you can play that. And you know, sometimes you might be sitting there at home and go, oh yeah, A minor chord, cool. You might, for example, if you arpeggiate it, you might be missing one of the strings. That sounds something like this. You hear this a lot. If I try and pick each string, hear that? Rather than the note ringing true because I'm fretting it correctly, it's kind of muted. That happens way too often, and my question to myself this week, and now my question to you guys on the YouTube channel is, if you can't play an A minor chord perfectly, or a C major chord, or an open E string really, really perfectly, what business do we have learning exotic scales or jazz chords or whatever? So I'm inviting you to go back to basics the same way I'm going back to basics. Playing those big open, I mean that's an E major chord, but practicing your chords, practicing the ringing of the projection of the guitar. It's not just how loud it is, but how much does it project. Like in this case, I'm trying to push from the sound hole of the guitar. I'm trying to push the air into my iPhone, which is a few feet in front of me there. And then I can look through the phone and try and press that music through to the distance. So how are you striking the strings? How far is the music progressing when you're using your pick? How precise is your picking? If you play a scale, how precise is your scale picking? And once again, to return to the title of this video, the biggest mistake all musicians are making, the biggest mistake we're all making, me included, and I bet you included as well, is abandoning the fundamentals, or